supposed to be a brotherhood. So that's what it started out to be.
The Aryan Brotherhood of Texas was formed in the Texas prison system in the early 1980s.
We were seeing our own kind punked out, treated like just white folk didn't stick together. We stuck with our own inside. And of course, anything you have inside, any gang, you're going to get out. You know, when you get out and a couple of you get together and you start doing this and that, and it grew. It was all about business. Drugs, prostitution. Sold a lot of drugs. A lot of females. Grew up and down 35. If you ran up 35, pulled in one of them motels, you bought anything extracurricular, money went in my pocket.
It wasn't uncommon to have really about $70,000 a week in cash. They had a constitution which essentially laid out everything that this particular group does in terms of the rank structure, in terms of what their beliefs are, in terms of everything from what happens when someone is disciplined to what doesn't happen when someone is disciplined. They have different levels of discipline.
Back in the day, we would get tattoos of our shield. If you didn't held up, you didn't held up. When you got eggs back then, I'd compare your patch off of you. So if you've got it tattooed on you, you can imagine I'm going to skin a chunk of your side.
Robberies, pounds of methamphetamine going up and down I-20, credit card fraud. It's all murders, obviously. It's kidnapping. They talk about kidnapping between each other like it's nothing. Like having somebody in the closet is nothing to them. Murder, if it's ordered, it's nothing to these guys. They're so loyal. And I think that's the scariest part, is how loyal they are, and you don't cross them.
Get in, Georgia.
Violence to each other, mostly a lot to each other. They kept picking each other off one by one.
Clearly, they're a very violent group, and in order to instill discipline within the organization, they need to ensure that they can go out and commit violence against each other.
Look at me. Yes, sir. Let me tell you something. Oh, yes, sir. You hear me? Yes, sir. If you ever say Aryan Brotherhood of Texas or Colorado, we'll kill you.
So they use that to kind of set an example for others that are thinking about perhaps swaying or straying from their blind faith commitment to the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. A blind faith commitment is a document that a prospect signs stating, in fact, that he is going to be a member of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, and it's a commitment that you take for life. There was a homicide in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Breonna Taylor in 2006.
She was tortured, and ultimately she was dismembered and put in a plastic bathtub filled with Quikrete and dumped in Lake Ray Hubbard.
There was no way. Things got so carried away. There was no way she could. Once things got out of hand, it was the only way it could end.
When we all were briefed on this particular homicide from the folks from Dallas, we all knew that something had to be done about the ABT after hearing what happened to Breonna Taylor. In the summer of 2008, I was targeting an armed career criminal who we believed was providing silencers and firearms to the Bandito outlaw motorcycle gang. In the course of executing a search warrant at this individual's residence, we obtained a number of different firearms, and in doing so, he was looking at a mandatory prison sentence of 15 years or more. It wasn't long before he decided he wanted to cooperate with us, and in doing so, he said that not only did he know some leaders within the Bandito outlaw motorcycle gang, but he also knew the general of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. One of the things that the ABT would typically do every month is they would hold what they call church meetings. And in these church meetings, what would occur is they would discuss their criminal activity. They would collect dues for the organization, and they would discuss gang business.
A big part of this case was built on the development and cultivation of confidential informants.
Someone would become a CI for multiple reasons. Maybe they're pending charges, for one. And the other reason is some do it for financial reasons. So a confidential informant, if he's actually in these church meetings, could do a number of different things. One, he could record what was happening. And secondly, he can come back. If he wasn't recording, he could tell us exactly what was being said by the leaders within the organization.
Kicked in my hotel room door to charge me with identity theft, prostitution. I mean, the list could have went on and on and on. And he wouldn't about telling me that's exactly what they were going to do. He says, look, I need you to talk to these people. And it was the FBI. And I was like, oh, that's when it got real.
So you always want to make sure that your CI's identity is never disclosed, or that the ABT, in this particular case, doesn't know who your CIs are.
If I was a snitch, that he would torture me himself. He would kill me himself, and that he would spend hours torturing me first.
The ABT confidential informants, for example, a lot of them are hooked on methamphetamine. And you can't really be a confidential informant if you're using narcotics.
If I wasn't using and showing that I was